Hey there. This video is going to be about the Sirius Cycle, or the Great Year as it's also called, and also a thought I had about black holes. First I'll start with the Sirius Cycle, which, if you don't know what that is, it's the cycle that Sirius takes with our sun. They both orbit each other. They're both on different orbital paths, and it is what dictates all the different ages that we go through. It dictates what's happening here on Earth. It dictates what's happening in our solar system. It it dictates pretty much everything in our existence, because everything actually comes from the shape that they make together. The Sirius is actually our sun's, I don't want to say twin star. It's the I can't think of the word right now, but it's the binary. It's a binary system. Suns or stars come in two, and Sirius is our star, or is our sun or star, second to it. It's the binary system to make two, and that's why everything on this world is made from binary, ones and O's as we know it. But it's really the patterns that they make in the sky in their orbits. They cross. The sun's orbit is bigger and Sirius is smaller, but they cross and they make the Visca Pisces, which is a symbol that we are all very familiar with. If you look up what Visca Pisces look like, you will instantly know that that symbol is in all types of logos and signs that you have seen all over the place, such as MasterCard, such as Olympics. Chanel uses it. Visa uses it as well. It's in all different types of symbols. You'll see it just in places that aren't even super popular. They use the symbol as the basis for their logo, and that's because all life that we know in this physical world occurs because of this orbital movement that they make around each other. And the middle, where they cross, is known as the Golden Age, and it's also the Eye of Ra. It's the all-seeing eye that the Freemasons use. All of these symbols are Masonic symbols in nature. They're all occult symbols. They go back to ancient Egypt, where there were also occult and Masonic symbols. Maybe they weren't called the Freemasons then, but it was the exact same type of culture and society as we have now. It went in cycles, and depending on where they were in the cycle, changed how the society was on Earth. When you're in a golden age, you're in a very spiritually uplifted time where there's no evil in the world and everyone knows what they're doing here on the earth. Everyone knows about God and the Creator, and He created the universe, and everyone knows their place in nature here. And the Golden Age only lasts for a short while. When they both begin to get close, then they cross each other's paths, and then as they move away is when the Golden Age starts to end, and the ending length is as long as it is for when it really starts. I think it's 6,000 years, maybe. It might only be 3,000 years, but I believe it's 6,000 years. Then after the Golden Age, you have the Silver Age, which the Silver Age, depending on which way you're going, either you're beginning enlightenment to go into the Golden Age, or you're exiting the Golden Age going into the Silver Age, when you're beginning to lose your enlightenment and you're beginning to lose what you know about the universe and nature and God and the Spirit. And then you have the Bronze Age, when the Bronze Age is the outermost age. So in that age, you don't know anything. It's where all the really evil lies. It's where all the bad stuff and corruption occurs. And that is either it happens when you're coming in and it happens when you're going out. So both of these ages happen at two different points in the orbital paths, which is all due to you either going into it or you're coming out of it. And right now we are heading into Aquarius, which we are supposed to be completed entering Aquarius by 2018, which Aquarius is the start of our Sirius coming back around and us entering into the golden age again. So we're on a path to go back into the golden age right now. And that's why everyone is beginning to wake up. We're just beginning to question what's around us. Except a lot of us are doing it exactly how I believe that it's all planned out. Because I really believe that this whole entire cycle is planned out and set up in a mathematical equation, because all math we know, all measurements we know, everything comes from these two orbital paths and how they align with each other and the stars around them. It all comes from what is in the sky. And without these different ages, we wouldn't have this cycle without the orbits. We wouldn't have the cycle with how our world is. That's why everything was so horrible and evil and has been for the past 20 or 3,000 years or 6,000 years, however many years. We've been in the negative. I think so far it's been 3,000, and then we'll be 3,000 more before we get into the Silver Age. But that's why it's also improving now. We're starting to realize that this stuff is not good. But I still believe that it's all in a controlled way. That it's all being done by Satan, or God, as he likes to be referred to as. He even likes to be referred to as God within the cycle, when I feel that God wouldn't want to be referred to as God, because we are all a God. We are all a part of God, so we are God. We're just trapped out of the God right now because we are in this cycle. And that is what keeps us confused, to keep us guessing what's going on, to give us, some of us, enlightenment and to be okay with it. And then we exit it and forget it all in our bodies. And it, I believe, confuses our spirits, our higher beings that we can't necessarily connect to as much. And which I'm going to explain all of that and why I think that it's all controlled. But before I do that, all of these symbols that the Freemasons use, they're all written in and from the Visca Pisces, and the bigger circle that it all makes, and the squares that they make in them. Everything is written out of the Visca Pisces. That's why they use the square and the compass as their signs, because that's what they use to create all of these symbols. They use a square foundation and a round circle to make the cycles. And this is really the grand cycle. This is the cycle that keeps us all confused and stuck in this trap. This is why the Jews, as we are calling them now, we have thought we have eradicated many of times before, but they always come back. It's because of the cycle. The cycle allows them to come back. The cycle needs for them to come back. Otherwise, the cycle would not exist. Which I really believe that Satan, who is really in control of this cycle, he likes it to be in the Bronze Age. That's where he has the most fun or entertainment or whatever you want to say that he has. That's where he likes us to be. But he gives us a golden age to appease us because he knows that we are very intelligent. And if we are always in a negative place, we're going to figure out how to get out of it regardless. No matter what you put in front of us, we're going to figure out at some point how to get out of it if it doesn't change. Which is why everything goes in cycles. This cycle is no different than people's lives and how they live. They have good days, they have great days, and they have really bad and horrible days. Then they'll have a good day then, and they'll have a great day, and they might have another bad and horrible day. It might not go in quite that order, but it goes in some type of cycle. You go through cycles with your mood. Everything in this universe, as the world as we know it, goes in cycles, which it all comes from this great cycle that is in the sky. And the reason I think that it's all controlled is, as I said, we would wake up if there was not this cycle that gave us a higher consciousness at some point, because we all have that higher consciousness within us regardless. And to keep us away from it, he gives us a false higher consciousness to light. And I really don't believe that our higher consciousness comes from light. I used to, but I don't anymore. I think it comes from pure darkness. I think it comes from the darkest place that we can imagine, where there is no light, is the absence of light as we know it. There could be other light or energy or radiation, but it's not the white light that we need to see through these eyes, these round eyes that we were given. We have no idea if these eyes actually show us how the real world is. We didn't choose to have them. We didn't choose their shape. We were given them, and the only thing that we were given to see with them is white light. We can't see any other type of light with the eyes. And I really believe that when you take away all white light, we would see a lot of other things without the use of our eyes. We're just trained to use our eyes all the time. And that's also how we gather all of these subliminal messages, which I think that these subliminal messages that are literally everywhere through Gematria. Gematria changes all of the words, all of the letters into numbers, and through the numbers we are programmed, because the numbers equal different energies, and they are constantly sending these energies at us. It is magic because we don't know how it works. They're doing it without us knowing. That's why it's magic. It programs our mind with magic, the energy, which they use the numbers to do. And I believe that through this, that's how they are able to bring this cycle in all the time, because they change what they are programming us with. They change the types of things that they program us. Right now, we were being programmed with evil things. Now I think we're going to start to be programmed with positive things, so that the world starts to turn positive. That's all they have to do to change the way that the world is change the programming, because that's how everyone thinks. They think through the programming, and until you realize and start to change it, you're going to think through the programming. I used to be the same way, but I realized that, and you have to just not react to anything. You have to sit on it for days sometimes and allow your mind and subconscious to really think about it, and then you'll just start getting thoughts about it that you would not have had when you first read it, because everything we read is a magic trick. That is why everything is spelled out in English. That is why spelling is called spelling, because we are being cast with a spell, a magical spell of energy that we don't understand past the physical body. It goes way above that. And it controls us for us to then change how the world is, because as you may know, you manifest the world around you. Even if you change how you act, the immediate world around you will appear different, which is because we truly manifest the whole entire universe around us. we allow the whole entire universe to work how it does because we allow the programming to tell us how to act. Even if we start to change our lives around us, most of us are still under the programming though, because most of us just change our mood to be more happy. So it makes the life around us more happy. It absolutely works. But to really change the whole world, we need to cut out the programming. We need to start thinking organically without programming and really connect to our higher conscious and spirit, which I think that in the golden age is when we're going to be able to really do that if we know how to not take in the programming. Because I see it as all these subliminal messages are for our subconscious. And we are completely disconnected from our subconscious right now. And as we move closer to the golden age, we're going to become more connected with our subconscious. But as we do, our subconscious is programmed with all of these subliminal messages. It is putting all of this stuff into existence, and this is what it has on its mind or at the tip of it, because it's way bigger than we can imagine. But all of this stuff is programming it so that when we come back in contact with it, this is what we're going to have, and this is what we're going to think. We're going to think God. We're going to think that He is the creator of all of this. We're going to think that nature is it. We're going to go back to how it was when we didn't have technology, because there will not be technology. Technology is all false. We're going to go back right into the golden age, as it always has been before, and we're going to pray to God. We're going to know that God is the creator, because we've been subliminally messaged with that for all of our life. There's not one point in time where you have not seen that God is the creator of everything. It's in all religions and all spiritualities. It's absolutely everywhere, because that is the biggest program. Without that program, this whole entire thing would not work. That is where most people reside when it comes to belief. They don't believe in themselves and what they actually come up with, which doesn't have to be self-worship. You don't have to worship yourself to come up with your own ideas. Most people believe that there is something else out there, which is really what Satan wants us to do. He wants us to worship him. Why would a God that creates everything want us to worship him in the golden age when we have our highest consciousness? We should be a part of God when we are at our highest consciousness. We should be, because for us to really be the energy that emits from God, we have to be a part of him when we are at our highest. We can't just be worshiping him. We can't understand that he is the creator of everything. That's what we're told. That's literally what we are told every day in our life. And that is really how this whole cycle stays in place, is through religion. If you look through history, they will tell you that religion has always existed. It existed millions of years ago in ancient Egypt. It exists now. Ancient Egypt will tell you that they are the creators of religion, that they're the ones that restarted religion, that they restarted Christianity and all the different religions. And that is because they went through these cycles just as we are going through right now. It's no different. We've been going through these cycles for millions of years, I believe. And it's time for us to realize these cycles, because the only way we're going to break out of it is to realize it and to not partake in it. When we start to become our higher beings, we need to be our higher beings with each other and not with God. Once we all come together, because praying to God still keeps us separated from each other, because we don't believe that we are all one. Once we come back to being one in unity, we're going to take everything down. We're going to destroy everything. And then we can build a cycle without good and evil. Because good and evil does not exist. It's something that is put out into the universe through the programming, and it's taught to us. And through the teaching of the programming, we put it back out into existence. That's why as I said, the cycles exist with how they do through the programming. When we're programmed with evil, we push out evil. When we're programmed with good, we push out good. And right now we're in between of it. The good is going to overtake the evil at this point, and that's why there's such a duality of everything right now. That's why it seems like there is a good and evil, but we've just been taught that there is. We've been programmed to believe that there is a good and evil by the master teachers, the Freemasons, as we know them right now. Every teacher that exists is just teaching Freemason teachings. They're teaching their philosophy with what they want us to know to keep us in the cycle. And all of their symbols come from this. The Eye of Ra, the all-seeing eye, comes directly from this because they are looking over us with this. This is how they watch us. This is how they know exactly what's going to happen. This is how they plan out our lives. It's through these cycles and the millions and billions of smaller cycles that come out of it. And the only way to stop it is to stop the program. Stop the program that we are allowing to control our subconscious and to push back. Because I really can't believe that the creator of the whole entire universe would want us to worship them. And if we are truly a higher being than everything else on this planet, the only way that we would worship the creator is if every animal and every creature on this planet is truly the same. But with how everything is programmed directly to us, it is obvious that we are not on a level playing field with other creatures on this planet. Doesn't mean that we should go out and kill them and slaughter them, but we are more intelligent than them, which I don't mean intelligent 1 + 1 = 2. I don't mean book smart. I mean we have literally a intelligence that we can't even speak of because we don't know how to right now. But once we come into the golden age farther, we will be able to speak of that intelligence. We just have to make sure that we can speak of that intelligence with the way that we want to and not the way that we've been subliminally programmed to for 10,000 years. The other thing that comes from this cycle is, they tell you, is it is an age of light. The light becomes the shine because our second star starts to come back, so there's more light shining on us. And the more light that shines on us, the higher our consciousness gets raised. Which, the light is exactly what bounds us to the physical world. Without the light, we wouldn't have a physical world, because we wouldn't be able to see anything with our eyes. And without the physical world, we can start to create on our own through other means that we would discover. And if you're creating more light, it's only going to manifest more to me in the physical world. It's only going to make it even more apparent that there is a physical world. We might be able to do some more things with it, might be able to control it more ourselves, but it's still going to be there with the light. To really get back to ourselves, we need to get rid of the light. We need to absolve the light and get rid of it altogether, because Satan is the angel of light. He is the light bearer. And why wouldn't the evil Satan that is supposed to be the controller of hell want us to think that he is the loving God that created everything? It only makes sense. And it only makes sense that he obviously would not tell us that, because he wants us to worship him as the loving God when he is not. He is the one that keeps us in the cycle of hell and heaven. You can look at it. And the other thing that I thought of when I was thinking about this is, our sun has different layers to it. And the layer that we see is the photosphere. It's the bright layer that lights up our sky every day, the yellow that we see. that is not actually where the energy comes from the sun. The energy comes from the core of the sun, which they say is dark. It is opaque and dark, and I mean, that's by going off of what they say, which obviously we can't see it because it's covered by this photosphere. And I've actually heard before, I've read an article a while ago, that there's possibly this theory that there's a black hole in the center of the star, of every star of our sun. There's actually a black hole in the center of it. And I really believe that black holes are a symbolism for where our true God and self resides, because black holes are the true energy. They are the highest form of energy that we are told of in our solar system. They suck everything in and do not let anything out. Which, are they really not letting anything out, or does nothing want to leave once they bring it back to them? Because they are bringing it back to the one God. And once you're in the one God, you realize that this is where you want to be, that you don't want to be in this universe where there's all these different cycles. You want to be where there is internal darkness and there is no cycles. It's just all knowing. And once we go back to that, then we can recreate how we want out of it. But first we have to absorb everything back to it. And if a black hole is really in the center of our sun, then the photosphere is blocking it from us. The photosphere is not allowing us to know that there's actually darkness there, which would be the light blocking it. And the photosphere also is very, the temperature is very low compared to the core of the sun, which, from what they believe, and they tell you that there is no reason that the temperature should shift that much from those two layers, but it does, which to me is their way of saying this photosphere is not really what we're told it is. It is a light source that has been put over our black hole that governs the God that we come from. I really do believe that there could be different gods in play that all control their own part of the grand universe or the grand thing that we are a part of, and it might even go up from that where they all go back to one. But I don't think there needs to be a cycle in it. I think the cycle is created by Satan, and the light hides us from the darkness in the sun. Even if there was no light that emitted, even if the photosphere did not exist on the sun, we would still be able to get the energy and heat from it because it's really generated by the core. It has nothing to do with the light. And if we take away the sun, I believe that the universe as we know it would disappear because it would be cast in darkness. But we would see other things. We would see it differently. So it would be recreated in the true way that I believe that it is, which would be how we would make it. It would just be darkness, and then we would make it how we would want to make it, which it may already be there, how we want it to be. We just can't see it right now because of all the light around us. It blinds us and then grounds us into the physical world that we are taught and that we project back into the universe. Which I watched a movie recently, Interstellar, which they go into a black hole, which they make it seem like they're not going to survive going into this black hole, but they do. And what happens when they get into it is time stops. They are able to travel all through time. They're showing you that within the black hole, time does not exist, and you can go all throughout time, which in the movie they can only interact with gravity in the black hole. But I really believe that once we enter the black hole, time is absolved, which this whole world is controlled by time. We're told constantly time doesn't exist. But how do we get out of it? We go back to the darkness, where we don't need time. And within the black hole is the ultimate darkness, because light does not escape. And in the movie they show you that time is there. Time is stagnant, And they even say that they're the ones that brought them there. They're the ones that brought them into the black hole in the future. They created the black hole for them to go into to save the world as we know it. But I don't believe that part of it. But the part that I did take out of it is that time is stagnant in the black hole. We don't need it in there because we have our internal darkness, the God that we come from. Which, I'm sorry, not even like the term necessarily God, because of how it is so related to Satan. It is exactly Satan. God and Satan are the same thing. When someone says God, you can almost put Satan right in the place, and you're going to get the same exact result from it. I really just like saying eternal darkness, the blackness that we see when we close our eyes. That is where we come from. And that is what the light is hiding from us. That is what Satan is hiding from us. That is what the Freemasons are trying to hide from us. I really think that that's the biggest secret that one of the biggest. I don't think that we might necessarily ever, we can theorize all we want, I don't think we'll ever know until we get back to our darkness, but what their secret really is, until we can truly escape the light. But I think that the cycles that hold everyone within this place and time is all controlled by the light that is emitted. And just thinking if there's anything else I wanted to say regarding it. The other thing that they say is that there is a large black hole at the center of every galaxy, which, even if there's not one in the sun, this large black hole that has the gravitational pull that's making everything happen in this universe, it's really slowly sucking everything in. It's not making everything gravitate outward. Black holes suck everything in, so if things are rotating around it, they're slowly going into it. And over time, everything's going to be destroyed. Eventually, our whole entire galaxy should get sucked into the black hole, if it works how they say gravity works, which I believe is symbolic of how the God or the darkness overpowers the light. You can't stop the darkness from taking Satan back into it, because the one that actually created the whole entire universe, all the energy, cannot be stopped from taking it back. It might not do it instantly. The tortoise runs the race, remember, not the hare, but it will eventually. And the eventually, I believe, is by us actually going towards the darkness and choosing the darkness over the light, not the light as we are literally always told through spirituality and religion. It's always the light. The light is what guides us. The light is where God is. The light is where we will find ourselves. The light is everything. The light is everything to the plants on this earth. Without the light, from what we're told, the plants wouldn't grow. That might not be true. It might actually be the energy the sun is emitting that allows the plants to grow. It might have nothing to do with the light. It might have to do with the actual pure energy that is released from that dark center. And it really all makes me think that the darkness is where we come from, and the darkness is where we need to get back to and try to strive to get back to. I watched a video recently which I think helps prove my point, because of how this guy ends his video. He completely dismisses, he doesn't talk about Freemasonry, he talks about the ancient symbols that are the Freemason symbols as something of high importance to the ancients, and something that we should recognize as something as good for the most part. And I'll link this video in my description. But it gives a good overview of the Sirius constellation and the symbols that come out of it, and how it rotates with our sun. And there's another video I'll also include that gives a breakdown of how the geometry comes out of the Visca Pisces of the Sirius and Sun orbit. That is mostly all I wanted to say, I believe. If I have anything else I want to cover with it, I'll make another short video talking about it. If you have any comments, questions, want to add to it, anything that you didn't like about what I said, let me know. I'm curious to hear everything. I want to hear your guys' opinions. I want to know what you think about it. Oh, one more thing. Jesus is the sun. Jesus is the light, which Jesus is equal to Satan in Gematria. They are equal to Lucifer in Gematria. They are the same thing. They were created at the same time. They are the symbolic same. They're supposed to be the duality, which when you think duality, it's really the same thing. You're just looking at it from different perspectives. It's no different when it comes to them two. You're looking at them from different perspectives. You're taught different perspectives, so you think there's a good and evil. You think they're different. But it's no different. Look at the yin-yang. That's a symbol of duality. It's exactly the same on each side, no matter what. They put colors in it to make it seem different, good and evil, but it's not. Take out the colors. The symbol's the same. That's the point of the yin-yang, is to show you that they're the same. The 6 and the 9, they are the same. They're just flipped. They have different perspectives. You're looking at them differently. That's the only difference. That's how they trick us with religion. They give us the good and the bad and make us look at them differently when it's really the same. If you read them independently and change the perspective of how they want you to see them, change the programming, change the magic that they're putting out there in front of you, you will realize that they are exactly the same. They are exactly the same beings. Which I'll actually include another video that talks about how Jesus was created at the same time as Lucifer in the King James Bible, which is a very interesting video, and it's all proved by Gematria, which I have links in my description as well, that you can check out a channel that will show you all about Gematria and all how it works with our current events, our sporting events. Our history is all coded with the same codings. That's how they get us to put all this stuff into reality, is through the Gematria, it's through the magic. The magic that we don't understand, that we believe magic doesn't exist, but it's just at a subconscious level it exists. We are the true magic ones. They're just using the energy that we're spewing out into this universe. We create the energy, and they're controlling it with these numbers. When we can take back control of our energy, we take back control of the magic, we take back control of the universe. That's all it comes down to. That's it. Have a good night.